Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And do subscribe our YouTube and Telegram channels. Now let's start our discussion.
Welcome to English Lecture Notes. Today we came up with the summary of the novel, The Mill on the Floss, written by George Eliot. Today's video is the summary of Book 1, Book 2 and Book 3. Novel, The Mill on the Floss centers on the childhood and young adulthood of Maggie and Tom Tulliver. They were siblings growing up in the fictional town of St. Ogg's, Lincolnshire, England. As the play begins, the narrator stands on a bridge over the Floss next to Dorlcote Mill. The narrator peacefully watches a little girl and her white dog that stand on the bank of the river, watching the mill. The narrator can see the light of a fire burning inside the little girl's house. There in that house, Mr. Tulliver explains to Mrs. Tulliver his wish to send their young son Tom for further education, so that Tom might have a good career and enough scholarly knowledge to help him with confusing legal processes. Mrs. Tulliver submissively does not object, but wants to have her sisters to dinner to hear their thoughts on the matter. Mr. Tulliver refuses to ask his sister-in-law's advice. Mr. and Mrs. Tulliver were Tom and Maggie's parents. On the recommendation of a family friend, Mr. Riley, Tulliver decides to send Tom to study with Mr. Stelling, an Oxford-educated minister. Tom gets started his education. One day Maggie is delighted when Tom comes home from school. However, upon his return Tom is angry with her because she failed to take care of his rabbits in his absence. He points out that he carefully saved up his money to buy her a gift, whereas she carelessly forgot to feed the rabbits and let them die. Maggie apologizes and she is very distressed at Tom's anger, so he eventually forgives her. Mrs. Tulliver's sisters come for a visit as well. Maggie and Tom particularly dislike the bad-tempered Mrs. Glegg, who constantly criticizes them for being naughty. However, both children like playing with Lucy Dean, their sweet and pretty cousin. Maggie becomes so irritated with Mrs. Glegg's criticisms of her long dark hair and she runs upstairs and cuts off her hair with scissors. Mr. Tulliver gets in an argument with Mrs. Glegg. As a result, Mr. Tulliver decides to try to pay back the £300 Mrs. Glegg has lent the family. Tom has a difficult time at school. Mr. Stelling, the clergyman, believes that Tom is stupid and obstinate, but Tom doesn't learn well with Mr. Stelling's style and content. Philip Wackham, the hunchbacked son of a prominent lawyer in Tom's hometown, joins him. Philip is intelligent and works well with Mr. Stelling. He is a year older than Tom but much farther ahead in his studies. Meanwhile, Maggie comes for a visit before she heads off to boarding school. Maggie is interested in Philip's passion for learning. Philip attempts to be nicer to Tom and befriends Maggie. A few months after Maggie leaves for boarding school, she pays Tom an unexpected visit. She tells him the bad news that their father lost the lawsuit, and that the family is now financially destroyed, and their father fell off his horse, damaging his senses. Mr. Tulliver's debts have now mounted so high that he has to declare bankruptcy and sell the family's furniture. This is humiliating for Tom and very distressing to Mrs. Tulliver, who loves her linens, furniture, and other homewares. Determined to make his fortune and pay back the family debts, Tom goes to visit his wealthy uncle Mr. Dean to ask for a job with the shipping company Guest & Company. However, his uncle says Tom will only get a job if he has accounting and bookkeeping skills, and that Tom's gentlemanly education will be of little use to him.
That's all for today. If you find this video informative, please do subscribe our channel and don't forget to click the bell icon to get the notification of our coming videos. Thank you for watching.